Do you guys ever have those moments in life when something just really frustrates you? Like somebody does something to you that upsets you, or something just goes wrong in your day. Maybe you get cut off by a crazy driver, or somebody, loses their temper towards you. And you don't know how you're going to respond because, there's either two ways we can respond. We can either respond in the flesh or in the spirit. And so I've been kind of burdened to talk to your viewers about the fruits of the Spirit. And they'll really dictate how we respond to different scenarios in life.
And it's very important that we look at these in context. We're going to be going through each individual, fruit you could call it, and just going over and seeing how these things show that you're walking in the Spirit, but also show you how to walk in the Spirit. And I love especially how it ends, because it says there's no law against these things, which we'll get to that when Cameron reads it. Mm-hmm. But these things, they're above the law. I think that's so cool for us as believers.
Absolutely, I love that as well. So I'm just going to read for you guys Galatians 5:22 and 23. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law." And I think it's important, if you haven't already, to memorize the fruit of the Spirit, so that when something, happens in life that you weren't ready for and frustrates you, automatically in your head you can take a minute and reflect and say, am I going to respond in love? Am I going to respond with a joyful heart? Am I going to be patient about this? Am I having peace about my current situation? And the list goes on, but this is something that's really, I think, important for every believer to have mastered, is at least the knowledge of the fruit of the Spirit, because once you understand it, it gives you an opportunity to actually react in the Spirit as opposed to reacting in the flesh.
And that's something that's really going to set you apart too from everyone around you, because just anyone who comes into a difficult situation, most of the time, if you just have a knee-jerk reaction, most of the world wouldn't react in a way that's showing love and joy and peace and patience to everyone around them. So when people see you acting that way and really walking in the Spirit, following God's leading, then you can be a really amazing witness to them and just an example of what faith looks like.
This passage really starts in verse 16, which I'll read for you. It just says, "I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." And from then on it goes into explain what our actions look like when we're in the flesh. And honestly, those are some pretty terrible things. Mm-hmm. Some pretty horrible things. We read about adultery, idolatry, hatred, jealousy, all kinds of things. We have murder, getting drunk, envy. These things that we kind of tend to, or at least some of them tend to kind of put on a pedestal, oh, I would never do something as bad as murdering. But in this is mentioned when we get jealous, when we get envious.
Even outbursts of anger.
Yeah, when we get mad, we don't control ourselves. And so I think it's neat how the author put those all in the same group. They group them all the same. I think that's kind of key to how we look at sin. It's easy for me to look at when I sin, it's easy to look at, oh, that's just a small sin. It doesn't really matter. I reacted the wrong way. That's not as bad as if I murdered someone. But is it?
Mm-hmm. In reality, one sin, no matter how great, is good enough to keep you out of heaven. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm really excited about the study we're going to be doing for you guys, breaking down the fruits of the Spirit. And I encourage you to read the whole passage from Galatians 5:16 all the way down to 26, and just read it and meditate on it, and really ask the Lord to show you how you're responding in those different situations in life, whether you're responding in the lust of the flesh and fulfilling its desires, or you're actively responding in the fruit of the Spirit. And as Megan pointed out, it's a great witness when you're wrong or something bad happens to you and you respond in a Christ-like way. Is this not what Christ demands of us as Christians?
We're really excited to be kicking this off, and we're going to be here every Monday for you guys. If you guys ever need anything, or you have a question about what you're reading, whether it's in Galatians or wherever it is, feel free to come to us. We'd be glad to study it out with you and just guide and direct you in the Lord, really.
And we'll be learning right along with you. I know the fruit of the Spirit is something that I always need to remind myself of, and it's never, there's never a bad time to try to be more like Jesus, so we'll be right there with you.
Right on.
With that being said, we're out.
Bye.
That's fine, that's good. Leave it like that.